Kia ora, good afternoon. So I just want to quickly talk about the baby Lisa Irwin case from October 2011. 2011, the 11-month-old baby girl that we're missing from your home. I'm watching that detective perspective. Um, this one, I don't know. This one's interesting because, like, I know that for all intents and purposes, it looks like she was abducted. That it was planned that this baby was going to get taken, that the mother, Deborah, left the window open, left the front door unlocked. It looks like either she was in on the baby being abducted or because see, originally when I was listening to the evidence, the first thing I was thinking was, well, okay, the first thing I thought, right, was the neighbours that got the mother drunk. Was that on purpose? Did they get her drunk to distract her from what was being planned? Was she coerced into leaving the window open? Was it all put? Having her drinking on the front porch to make it look innocent to the neighbours? Was this a setup? The first thing I thought was this connected to the neighbours? Because nobody's sort of really mentioned the neighbours. The mother was reluctant at first to say that she had been drinking that night, and then when she was interrogated, she admitted that she had been drinking. And then of course the witnesses said they saw a man walking down the street with a baby in a diaper, and the CCTV footage from the service station, stuff like that. Now, it is really, really grainy footage, but it honestly looks to me like this person in the footage isn't actually carrying anything. Now, so the first thing I was thinking, okay, look at the parents, look at the neighbours, look at the mum, look at the neighbours. And then they brought the cadaver dog in that picked up the scent in the mother's bed, and the baby's clothes that had been burned, and then the baby with no diaper on, and blah blah blah. But why would you burn a baby's clothes and then have someone walking down the street with the baby? Was the baby and the man holding the baby in a diaper, like, was it a credible? They may have been 100% certain that it was a man holding a baby. Was it that night? Is he 100% certain it was that night? Is the witness credible? There's a cover-up going on. There is 100% evidentiary indications that whatever happened to this little girl, there was a cover-up. Now, was the baby alive when this man was witnessed holding the baby? Then, listening further on into his investigation, there was a second alternative that popped into my head that would explain why the dogs hit on a cadaver in the bed. And that is, the father had assumed, I don't believe the father had anything to do with this, because he was called away to do work that lasted, like, what was it, 11 hours or something. I don't think the father had anything to do with it. I think that the mother knows more than she's letting on, or she was tricked. However, the second option, one of the first things the father said was, when he came in and the door was unlocked and the lights were all on, that's full indication of someone, stumbling to bed drunk, right? He went round turning the lights on, he checked her room, her door was open. which was unusual, yada yada. And the first thing he thought was, oh, she's in bed with the wife. That could be the second alternative. What if Deborah put Lisa in bed and being drunk, she smothered her? She rolled over on the baby and smothered the baby and suffocated the baby, and then in a panic tried to hide the evidence. But if people find out we were drinking, you got to help me, yada yada, blah blah blah. And then people helped, or she had help removing the baby. The man who said he saw the man with the baby, I can't remember whether he said the baby was moving or not. Just that the man was seen holding a baby in a diaper. If the baby was deceased, if the baby's clothing was covered in vomit, because that can happen when you're being smothered. I'm just wondering whether the mother rolled over onto the baby and suffocated the baby and then had help covering up the baby. Whether the dad helped from that point on, helped get rid of the body, I don't know, but it really doesn't sound like the father was involved. But it does sound like she had help getting rid of this baby's body. I know they're saying it sounds like, that she's been raised by somebody else, that she was abducted, that she could possibly have been taken to pay off some sort of debt in regards to the mother. Now, I know that there was a stolen credit card that went to some site that got you to allowed you to change your baby's name legally, all this sort of thing. And I'm just wondering whether they're red herrings. If they're not red herrings, somebody close to her in her neighbourhood, if not her directly, took that baby to be raised by somebody else, and it's some sort of debt, like the detective the detective perspective guy, Derek, has suggested it possibly could be. But there is a second option that nobody has thought about, and that is that she was so drunk, she rolled over onto the baby and smothered it by accident because she was so drunk. I know that for Indigenous people, when we're having babies and all of that, there's campaigns, and I'm not laughing, it's not funny, but there's campaigns because this is a serious issue with because there's a high rate of alcoholism amongst Indigenous tribes and communities, and that where there's like campaigns, don't drink and sleep with your baby. Don't sleep with your baby, and don't sleep with your baby when you've been drinking or have alcohol in your system, because there was a real issue, especially like in the 80s and 90s, of babies who were being smothered in their sleep because the parents were under the influence of something and rolling over onto the babies. And I wasn't laughing to make fun of it. I'm kind of laughing at the bitter irony of the fact that mothers are having to be told, don't engage in these things while sleeping with your children, because common sense. But unfortunately, I sleep with my babies. Never. I mean, I don't drink in that, but yeah, I sleep with all my babies. Sleep with them in my arms. It's what we do. But there is an issue with the drugs and alcohol, and mothers rolling over on their babies and that. But yeah, so unfortunately there was a real clear and present danger a while ago of mothers who were, especially younger mothers, going out drinking, coming home, curling up with the baby, and then rolling over onto them and smothering them. And I'm wondering if this isn't the case with Lisa Irwin. And then, of course, she burnt the clothes because maybe, there was like body fluids in that from choking. And Was she given a bottle? Was she given, whatever? And then, of course, hiding the evidence. It would explain why the dogs picked up a scent on the bed. It would explain the burnt baby clothes. And then it would just be a matter of finding the body. So what I need to do is go back to check whether the witness who saw the man with the baby, whether the baby was moving and seemed coherent and alive and all of that, because I think there's an option that they haven't explored, or that they haven't pushed the narrative of, because it's the far end of the scale of what could have happened to her in that home. But it is evident that what happened in that home, the mother knew about it. I don't think the father, but I think the mother knows more than she's letting on. And if the neighbours weren't involved, she got somebody involved. Somebody helped her remove that baby's body. If it's the worst case scenario. If it's what everybody else is going down, I want to know the neighbours. It sounds like her drinking, and it sounds like they were encouraging her to drink, not forcing her, but like pushing it on her. Go on, have another one, which is suspicious to me, because who forces people to drink? Like, you're either willing to drink or you're not. But when you're being coerced to keep drinking, was it being done on purpose so that she would lose her senses enough that she wouldn't notice doors not being locked and children going missing? Had the baby already gone missing by the time she went to bed? Because she was drunk. She was very drunk, and she left all the lights on in the house and the door unlocked. So who's to say that she remembers when she last checked on that baby? And the computer window was open, which apparently was unusual. So did someone climb in through the computer window while she was being distracted with the drinking on the porch? And then she stumbled to bed and then woke up to it? To the husband saying, "Where's the baby?" Or is the alternative that she rolled over on the baby while the baby was asleep? So this is, I'm more inclined to think it's they rolled over on the baby, and the eyewitness accounts are mixed up or confused. So, but that's just throwing my hat into the ring for an option there. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope she does turn up in the hands of another family. In 10 years' time, she recognises her story in her 20s, and she's like, hey, I think that's me. That would be the ideal outcome to all of this. But if not, there is another option that nobody else has considered. So I'm just putting it out there. But I hope the truth is told, and I hope whatever happens, this little girl gets justice either way, either to be returned to her family or laid to rest. It's horrible when it involves children, and that it's especially because of the line of work that I do that involves, like, the human trafficking and them and all. It's just breaks my heart as a mum, especially as someone who just lives and breathes for children and babas and all that. It's these sort of things is like any parent's worst nightmare. So I hope this comes to a conclusion, and that the rightful people are held accountable, and that either way that little girl gets justice. So, just throw my hat in the ring. So I shall speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Mwah.